In this video, I'm going to show you how I made the best pizza I personally have ever made myself and eaten. I'm going to give you some tips on making the absolute perfect dough, a slightly different little trick with the cheese, and how to make arguably my favorite pizza topping ever, hot Italian sausage, and generally give you some tips to make your pizza taste as good as your nearest pizza place. So as you can imagine, we're going to start off with our dough, and we're going to be kickstarting our dough by making a pre-ferment. And if you're one of those people that hear that and switch off, don't worry, I'm going to make this really simple. So simple, in fact, I'm certain you're going to understand it, you're going to try it, and you're going to keep coming back to it. It will increase the flavor and the overall quality of your New York style dough. So as I say, I'm going to try and make this really simple. So what we have here is all of the yeast that we're going to need for this entire recipe, all of the flour that we're going to need for this entire recipe, and all of the water that we'll need for this entire recipe, and an empty pot. To make our pre-ferment, which is basically a way of just describing jump-starting the fermentation process of making pizza dough, we're going to take all of our yeast, some of our flour, and some of our water. Obviously, this entire recipe will be down below. This is our leftover water, this is our leftover flour, these can go to the side. And what we're left with is the start of our pre-ferment. So we've got our yeast in here, and then we've got a portion of our flour and our water, and we're gonna give that a really good mix up. I like to use a chopstick for this, it works really well. And what we're left with is a really wet, sticky pre-ferment. Pop a lid on that. This can hang out on the side for a couple of hours in a warm space to jumpstart the fermentation process, and then it can go into the fridge overnight. So I'll leave this on the side, and then I'll put it in the fridge in about 3 hours. So while that pre-ferment hangs out, I'm gonna make something else that requires at least one overnight's rest, and that is hot Italian sausage. In my opinion, it is up there with pepperoni as the best pizza topping. If you've never had it before, I highly suggest you try this recipe. It's obviously perfect on pizzas, but chuck it into a pasta or anything, it's great, just make it. So I'm gonna start off with some pork mince from my local butcher. Not as coarsely ground or as fatty as I'd like. And we're just gonna add some seasonings and spices to this, turn it into Italian sausage. Recipe will be down below, obviously, but we're gonna go with salt, sugar, paprika, basil, oregano, crushed fennel seeds. Now, not ground fennel, but actual fennel seeds that I crushed in a pestle and mortar. Red chili flakes, black pepper, red wine vinegar, water, and freshly minced garlic. Absolutely essential, do not switch this out for dried garlic powder. Get this really well mixed round. As always, should have used a bigger bowl. And obviously, I'm gonna use this uncased, so just kind of pull parts off of this and put it on top of the pizza. But if you wanted to make links of Italian sausage, you could just put this into a stuffer, get some natural hog casings, and make actual Italian sausage links. You know, I'm gonna move this to another bowl. That was far too annoying. Make sure all of this stuff is really well dispersed. Some hot Italian sausage meat ready to go on top of a pizza. Almost. This needs to go into the fridge overnight ideally, but 2 to 3 days is fine. That's going to allow the spices to hydrate, and generally just to make sure that this sausage meat is flavored all the way through. So this is going to go into a Ziploc bag, rest in the fridge overnight. What you don't use, you can freeze. So this pre-ferment has been sat in the fridge overnight. Loads of activity in there, it's really bubbly. So now I'm going to show you what I think is a pretty foolproof way to make pizza dough that stretches really easily and almost certainly won't tear. So I'm going to be doing this in a stand mixer, but you could just knead it by hand. And a little tip, most KitchenAids come with a C-hook as standard. This is slightly different. This is a spiral hook, and I found that this is way better for developing gluten and stopping the dough from crawling up to the top and just spinning the dough around. So I'll drop a link below where you can buy this upgraded attachment, far better than the standard C-hook that comes with most KitchenAids. So we'll start off by taking that pre-ferment, make sure to get all of it in there. Then you'll remember our weighed out water from yesterday. This is everything that was left. That's gonna go in, get that on, and we're gonna mix that on very low speed until it all starts to come together. We're gonna bring back the rest of that flour and it all goes in. Then we'll go in with some salt, some sugar, and some olive oil. We'll get that down, we'll get this on setting 2, and we're gonna mix this for 8 minutes. Once 8 minutes is up, clean towel over the top, plate or cover for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we're gonna come back and do our first set of stretch and folds. So stretch and folds is basically a type of kneading technique that produces really strong gluten formation. And that's gonna be the thing to help your pizza stretch out really easily and also not tear. I like to do it. I feel like it gives me a better product, but you could just knead your dough. So to do the stretch and fold, we're just gonna go in, grab one corner, pull it, fold it over, move around to the next corner, pull it up, fold it over, and just go round until you've pulled over all 4 sides. Towel on, cover it, come back again in 30 minutes and do it again. After one last set of stretch and folds, this dough is looking really smooth, which tells me there's good gluten formation. Then I'm just gonna split this dough ball into two, ball them up, and pop them in some lightly oiled dough containers. So these can go into the fridge for up to 3 days, but even after 1 day, you're gonna get great flavor because of that pre-ferment. So these are gonna go into the fridge overnight, and I'll take them out a couple of hours before I need them. So after one final day's rest in the fridge, these are ready to come out. These should be full of flavor with that pre-ferment, with multiple days worth of fermentation, but these are ice cold and they won't stretch out as good as they will at room temperature. So I like allowing these to rest at room temperature for about 4 hours before I stretch them out. Next up, we're gonna make a pizza sauce. It's the pizza sauce that I make every single time I make homemade pizzas. It's really simple, it's delicious, works on everything from Neapolitan to New York. Recipe will be down below. And it starts off simply with one good quality can of peeled tomatoes, ideally San Marzano, some garlic powder, salt, extra virgin olive oil, and a pinch of oregano. And then we're gonna blitz this sauce up with a hand blender or a stick blender, just enough until it's smooth, and doing it with short pulses. We don't wanna blitz it up so hard that all the seeds from the tomatoes break up and turn the sauce potentially bitter. Once that's all blitzed up, we're gonna put that into a squirty bowl. Might seem weird, but it'll all make sense a little bit later. This can hang out in the fridge until we need it. So the last of the main ingredients that I'm gonna talk about is the cheese. And for me, this is one of the most important parts. And for this style of pizza, for me, it has to be low moisture mozzarella. But here in the UK, it's not that easy to find whole blocks of low moisture mozzarella for you to shred yourself. Pre-shredded mozzarella is everywhere. You can buy it from the smallest convenience stores right up to the supermarkets. I talked about the whole block of mozzarella that I use to shred myself in this video here. But over the last couple of months, I've been going down a slightly different route, and that is to use slices of mozzarella. And specifically, I use the one from M&S supermarkets, Marks and Spencer's here in the UK. It's a medium fat mozzarella, which is perfect for this style of pizza. And this might seem a little bit weird to some people using sliced mozzarella, but over the last couple of months, this is how I've been doing it, and I've found for me that it comes out best using the equipment that I have. I'm cooking on a Gosney Arc XL, and that oven I think is best for a high heat pizza like a Neapolitan pizza. With that flame rolling over the top, it can be quite easy for the cheese to burn up by the time you get a nice color on your crust. So I've been using these cheese slices directly on top of my dough and then topping this with the tomato sauce, which again might seem absolutely barbaric to some people. I saw this done quite a while ago, and I can't remember the specific style of pizza, or even if this style of preparation where the sauce sits on top of the cheese has a home. It's not a deep dish Chicago style, it's more of a New York style base. And I think I've seen it referred to as an upside down pie or a Trenton style tomato pie. But then I think that the recipe for that kind of dough and method of cooking is quite different. But basically, the outcome that I get is far better. The cheese is mostly protected by the sauce, so you don't get as much blistering and charring on the cheese. The sauce, because it's on top of the cheese, starts to cook out really nicely, and you get this really nice blend, but with still a contrast of the sauce and cheese. I recommend seeing how this pizza comes out and maybe trying it for yourself. So we're going to take our dough ball, really nice and smooth, go down with some semola flour. I prefer this over regular flour. A little bit more flour. Then we're just going to form our crust. And this dough is really easy to work with. Put it over our knuckles and just let the weight of the pizza pretty much do all the work. Then once it's at the size of our pizza screen, we can go down and then form that into a perfect circle using the screen as a template. Then we'll go down with our cheese. Then sauce, which is why I have it in this squirty bottle. Might not look like a lot of sauce, but this is gonna be plenty. Go on with some oregano, some pecorino. Then we'll go down with plenty of pepperoni. Go down with the little pinches of our hot Italian sausage. This is a good looking pizza already. Then lastly, just to help browning, gonna hit the crust with some olive oil. And that is ready to go into our Gosney. Flame goes on low, pizza goes all the way to the back. Quarter turn, just after a minute or so. Another quarter turn. And I'm really just trying to set this crust up enough that I can slide it off the peel. So I think that's probably set up enough. Gonna get under this pizza base, slide it off, straight onto the oven floor, lose the screen, and then just turn it and evenly brown the crust. I'm calling that done. Finish with some more pecorino, some chili flake, and this is pretty much my last meal pizza. Got some nice little micro blisters on the crust, some really nice browning. That sausage, pepperoni, and cheese just looks perfect. And we can't forget about the base, which has got a really nice color on it from that hot stone. I honestly think that this pizza is as good as any pizza you could buy here in the UK. Anyway. That's a great looking slice of pizza. Good undercarriage. With a little crimp of the crust, holds up nicely. And excuse the mess behind me. This is one of those things that I don't want to eat cold. Yeah, give it a taste. Yeah. Yeah. Still is the recipe and the process for the best pizza I have ever made. And this is genuinely up there with the best pizza I've ever had, for sure, without a doubt. The cheese on the bottom works. If you have access to the slices of mozzarella and not to a big block of it, I highly recommend putting the cheese on first, getting that sauce on top, particularly if you're cooking in a Gosney oven or any oven that isn't a deck oven, one that's suited more to a high heat Neapolitan style. I imagine a lot of people will think you won't see the cheese or the cheese won't come through, but if you use that squirt bottle method, you almost wouldn't be able to tell. The Italian sausage, along with that pepperoni, just works so well. The pre-ferment on that dough is one of the reasons the bottom browns so well. It really contributes to those micro blisters that you get all along the pizza crust. And although it takes about a day's extra time, it takes absolutely zero effort, and you just got to think of that extra time as more flavor. The dough flavor on its own is perfect. The post-baked pecorino, the chili flakes, just finish this pizza perfectly. So yeah, not a huge amount more to say about it, to be honest. I think you get the point. Everything about this pizza for me is the perfect pizza. So I think there were loads of little tips, tricks, methods, recipes in this video for you to take away and try yourself. And if you're a pizza person, I highly recommend that you do. I think you're gonna love it. Also, I forgot to mention, a little bit of hot honey on this is pretty good as well. So anyway, thanks very much for watching this video. If you did like it, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It really does help me out. Subscribe if you're not already. Big thank you to my channel members. Appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for supporting me every single month. It means a huge amount. Let me know if you learned anything from this video, if you're going to do anything, use any of the recipes, any of that stuff. And if you've got any other methods, recipes, that kind of thing that you want to share with me, drop it in the comments below. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next week for another video.